Hey, my name is Mathew Kent, the author of Harbor Defenses of San Francisco Field Guide 1890 to 1950. Today we're at the Fort Battery Radio and Switchboard rooms. This facility was built in 1943. It's a dug-in, full concrete reinforced facility, burster course, and fully gas-proofed. This site was initially shown on YouTube via, I believe his name was Mr. Surfin. Unfortunately, he was unable to explain exactly what was inside this facility. Today I'm going to narrate everything, so let's go ahead and take a look. Come on inside. So right now we're making our way into the interior corridor. We're going to pass one of the steel doors, and we're making our way towards the power room. You can still see much of the gas-proofing ventilation equipment, and we can also see remnants of a tank and some sort of pump unit down the floor here. Now if we make our way inside, we're down in the power room of the facility here. And what's really amazing is that the engine is still intact. And you're not going to find this anywhere in the Harbor Defenses in San Francisco. This is pretty much intact the way it was when this building was abandoned, probably sometime in 1948. We can still see the original power unit. We have the radiator along with the exhaust vent that goes to the outside of the building. And if we move over to the back, we can see the air intake that would have a vent above the complex that would suck air inside. And we also have various circuit breakers. They're still working. Ah, look out, you might get zapped. Still intact. We have a General Electric regulator with much of the, still have dials that are intact. More of the same equipment down here. This is actually the original regulator cabinet right here. We can still see from this panel is a normal service disconnect and the energy service disconnect. So this would have been the main switch breakers to turn off the power for the facility. Same over here, you got breakers. And I can't see a builder's plate on this particular engine, so the jury's still out on who the manufacturer is for this. So if we move over to the next room to our left, if we open up this door, I believe this was the radio room. So we can still see the original conduits leading from the cable trench to the power leads here. And the leads still have the insulation along with the eyes to go ahead and attach the power attachments. And I'm thinking these are probably the radio racks right here. These are wooden. And you have a cable trench into the floor over here. So I'm assuming this small room probably is the radio room. And we're going to make our way back out. So you can see steel door here, steel door over here. This would have been shut off and closed in the event of a gas attack, and this facility would have been fully gas-proofed. We're going to make our way into the interior of the complex here. You can see the concrete tube leading from the gas-proofing equipment room, leading to the outside of the facility that would have blown contaminated air outside of the facility in case of a gas attack. And we also have one of the original steel doors here. And it still moves, even though all this time underground, 60 plus years, it still moves. Can't lock it due to the rust, but we can open it up and make our way to the airlock room here. So you can still see much of the gas-proof equipment, plumbing. Plumbing over here, there's a blower unit on top of the ceiling over here. If we make our way to the left, we're now in the gas-proof equipment room. And we can still see the original ventilation blower unit manufactured by Buffalo Forge Company from Buffalo, New York, made in the States. More remnants of the plumbing here on the floor. And of special interest is this gas-proof closure door slash shutter, and we can still see on the side the original seal, some sort of canvas seal on the side of the door here. And this obviously would have been closed in a locked position, and this would have cut off the airflow from the outside to the building. So we're going to make our way into the main corridor here by exiting the airlock room. And we're making our way to the main portion of the facility here. So we can still see the original linoleum on the floor from when this place was first built. And we also have the metal attachments on the wall here that would have allowed for prison-style metal bunk racks to be installed in the facility, to have the crew that was manning this station to be on call 24 hours a day and obviously on site. We still see much of the original air duct work is intact, and the valves still function. And we're going to make our way down to the end of the corridor here. Same thing, we have vent work up here, more attachments for the bunk racks. And of special interest, we have an original 1943 prison-style steel bunk rack. And this would have been folded up, attached up here in the stowaway position. It looks like they had 2 racks per wall. And this is one of the original racks right here. There's several more left throughout the facility and are scattered around, but this one is still attached to the wall. And to the left, here's another example of a gas-proof closure shutter door. Same deal, steel plate. You can open this up, and you would see the canvas seal on the side of the door here to seal this off in the event of a gas attack. And we can still close this, which is pretty amazing. So this is still highly functional. So we're going to make our way back down the corridor here to the 2 rooms on the left. Okay, so this room has been yet to be determined, the exact function and purpose of this room. There's some sort of rack over here, a wooden rack. Unsure what the function is of that. You can still see much of the original acoustic tiles on the ceiling. And more than likely, since this was built in the 1940s, these tiles contain asbestos, and there are a lot of damaged tiles on the floor. So we're doing our best not to stir up any dust as we're walking around here, as it might contain asbestos. Special note, the original heating unit is still intact. You can see the on-off switch here, along with the thermostat. And this is one of the finest examples of the in-wall heating here in the facility. Looks like if the juice was still on, you could probably throw the switch and turn this on, we'd have some heat. So we're going to make our way outside of this room over to the next one to the left. And we're now making our way to the latrine. So as you can see, sinks, urinal, air duct work, toilet over here, toilet over here. You have a full shower facility over here. And a special note, above the water heater, we have a gas-tight closure up on the wall, so you were able to screw that down and shut this room off to gas contamination. And if we can get up there, I'm sure that's probably still functional and looks in really good shape. And we're going to make our way back out into the main corridor now. So as you can see, much of the electrical conduit work is still intact, along with the light bulb receptacles. So again, if the power was live to this station, we probably could have full lighting and electrical back on after about 60 years. We're going to Make our way over to the left here. There's three more main rooms. We have a small room in here that has shelving units slash cabinets. I believe this was the storage room for the Fort Berry radio and switchboard room that we're now in. Along with, looks like we still have, yes we do. So you have the original cables from the outside, leading from a manhole inside the facility. And the amazing thing is that most of these cables still have, looks like lead ID tags that have been embossed with data to let you know, A, what the identification number was for the terminal line, and B, whether or not it actually had any live wiring inside the line. So we go ahead and look at these, and this one says 101-19 dead, so that means there's nothing inside this line. And the amazing thing is, in this cable trench, that a lot of this equipment is still intact. So we're going to go ahead and cover this back up so nobody falls in. So we're going to make our way out of the storeroom here. And there's the last two rooms on the left. Now we have a room here of unknown function. We have the remnants of the prison style metal bunk rack, minus the springs. We actually have, this is the original, looks like a wooden frame. Sans the springs. And again, if we direct our attention to the floor here, again we have the cable trench, and we can still see most of the ID tags are attached to the lines, indicating whether or not these, what the identification of the line was, whether or not they're were vacant or not. And this actually leads into the switchboard room, which is next door. And again, we'll pick up the cable trench on the other side. Again, most of these switches are in really, really good shape. We'll probably still turn the juice on. Now we're making our way to the nuts and bolts of the facility here. This would have been the switchboard room for the Fort Berry radio and switchboard room here at Fort Berry. And we can see on the floor here the heater unit in the back. Heater unit being back here. You can still see the remains of two metal bunk racks. This actually has the metal springs still attached in pretty good shape. If we look to the right here, we have the original switchboard housing. So two switchboards would have been here. You're looking at trunk lines providing security communications to Presidio, San Francisco, obviously Fort Berry, Fort Baker, and they even had communications to Sausalito. So we can look at the back of the switchboard cabinet here, what's left of it. We can still see the terminal boards on the back of the unit here, along with the number of positions. There's also quite a lot, it looks like communications line or telephone line still inside the board. So this is kind of rare that this is actually still intact and able to be viewed. If we look on the floor, we can still see the cable trench leading into the room. And of note, there looks like there's a brand new Pacific Bell trunk line here in the facility. Unsure when this was installed. This looks very new. It has a work crew tag on it. Very, very new. All the electrical connections here look very new. Not sure if they're going to use this facility at some point in time for emergency services or what the deal may be. But we do have a brand new Pacific Bell trunk line inside the switchboard room here, which is kind of neat. There's also junk lying about, and kind of interesting here is we have some remnants of some sort of can that says gun to wire only, which is pretty amazing. I'm not sure what this was for, but this is obviously still inside the switchboard room. And again, we can still see the acoustic tiles on the ceiling. Probably 99.9% sure those still contain asbestos since this was built in the 1940s, along with graffiti on the wall. And again, what's really neat is a lot of these switches are still intact and functional, and it looks like we could, if we had juice here, go ahead and turn this back on and be live. That's the end of the switchboard room here. We're going to make our way back into the main corridor. Now here we have the cable manhole trench inside the main corridor facility. And we'll go ahead and open this up. Again, same deal. Most of the lines are still intact. Insulation is still on the line. These lines would go into terracotta tubes that would lead out to a signal core manhole cover in front of the facility, and that would have made its way into the various manholes for fire control purposes, for communication. And again, much of these lines are still very much intact, which is pretty amazing, as most facilities do have this removed at this point in time. So we can go ahead and close this up. And again, there's another heater down here at the end of the corridor. Again, really good shape. We can see this was a Wessex electric heater. It was made, doesn't give you the manufacturer date, but actually it has a serial number, catalog number, type, number of amps, number of volts, watts, 1,000 watt unit here. It looks like Wessex Electric had offices in San Francisco, Seattle, and Los Angeles. Again, the switch is still intact, and we can still see the thermostat for this inline wall heater, which is in really, really good shape. So again, if we had juice here to the facility, we can go ahead and turn it on. We'd have some heat. We're going to make our way out of the main corridor here. So again, let's put ourselves in position of somebody being stationed here in World War II. And again, in the event of a gas attack, we're now inside the main portion of the facility. This airlock would have been shut. People would have come in. Any bad air would have been blown out. We would have had people stationed and basically living here inside the facility. The normal manning detachment would have been 4 people. And that would have been spread out over a 24-hour period of time with a number of relief crews. But again, if relief was not possible, there were prison-type bunk racks mounted on the walls for the crew to go ahead and live inside the facility. And actually, it's not too cold and it's not damp in here, and it would have been not too bad. So we're going to exit out the airlock here. And again, we can see the original lights are still here for the facility, along with the cage is still intact. Beautiful example of the ventilation blower here with the ductwork, obviously still intact. And we're going to make our way out of the airlock. And again, this steel door would have been able to be closed inside to make this 100% gas proof. And we can still see the remnants inside this channel of a rubberized, let's say almost like rubberized felt that would have been inside this door jamb to make a gas tight seal, I have to say. And that's pretty amazing. This is still pretty intact. And again, you can close it, and this would have been sealed up. Pretty amazing after all these years underground. We're in the main corridor here. We're going to make our way outside of the facility. And that pretty much concludes our tour of the Fort Barry radio and switchboard rooms. Once again, my name is Mathew Kent. I'm the author of Harbor Defenses of San Francisco, 1890 to 1950. If you're interested in learning about this site and more sites throughout the area, please visit blurb.com and do a search for my book, Harbor Defenses of San Francisco, or please visit the URL link at the bottom of the page for this video. Thank you very much.